So the Championship League season getting underway this weekend, the real business, I suppose, after the cup competition so far. How much are you looking forward to getting started?
Yeah, I think we're all excited. We're all ready for round one to kick off this week. And yeah, like I said, it's been, I suppose, everything we've done throughout the pre-season and in these early sort of cup fixtures has all been built around, preparing as best we can to put our best foot forward come round one of the championship.
So how pleased have you been with what you've achieved so far?
Yeah, look, I think for where, again, I've said this before, we probably compare from where we were 12 months ago at this point, and I do think we have moved forward and took some huge strides forward collectively as a staffing operation as well as a team as well. So obviously things haven't gone quite to plan through the cup fixtures. Obviously we've managed to pick up a couple of injuries and obviously a couple of suspensions along the way. So it's not really the ideal start we would have hoped for, but that's what you're challenged with as a coach and in this sort of sporting world. So you just adapt and you overcome. But the great thing that we have is we have a very talented squad of players at our disposal. Some really great strength in depth, and whoever gets the shirt on the weekend in that 1 to 17, I'm confident that can deliver the job that we're asking them to deliver on. So yeah, really, really excited to see what we can produce, or the level of performance that we can produce come Sunday.
Bearing all that in mind about the bits and pieces you've had to deal with the suspensions, how would you feel about the progress that you've seen on the field so far?
Yeah, I've been happy. I've been relatively happy. I mean, we sort of used the first three fixtures, the 2/18-95 Cup games and the Challenge Cup Round 3 game as a real opportunity to assess everybody in the squad. That was a deliberate sort of ploy from us as a coaching staff. We wanted to sort of see where is everybody currently at, what areas do they need to improve in, or how can we help on their journey to get them better, etc. And then we wanted to use the kind of last two fixtures as an opportunity to sort of more streamline the team and really sort of get two good quality games with a squad in place. It's just unfortunate that some of that squad won't be able to translate into round one because of things that are now out of our control. But yes, like I said, I think we saw some progress. Obviously, the Sheffield game was a really good learning curve for us as a group. We know that we probably got too emotionally invested in that game, and we certainly didn't showcase what we're about as a team. It certainly was a disappointing day, but then there was some real positives from that performance in terms of the way that we competed for that 80 minutes and the competitive spirit and the character of the team. I thought was seen in abundance. That to sort of respond in the manner that we did a week later in that quarter final of the 1895 Cup was really, really pleasing. I had all the confidence and the trust and belief in that squad that they could right the wrongs, and I thought they did that to a very high standard. So great to see that. That certainly gives us some encouraging signs going into round one. But again, we know we're up against a very, very, very good side in Doncaster.
Does your focus shift at all now, the start of the league season, which you've said all along is your priority this year?
Yeah, well, everything's been built around the championship season. The reality is we're in an era now where IMG are involved, and it's about trying to get as many points on that IMG Richter scale as possible. So we have to do the best that we can and finish as high as we can in the championship, and that's our aim. So yeah, everything has been driven and built towards that.
So your team for this weekend, 3 suspensions start this weekend?
Yep, you're right. Yep, just another thing to contend with. But yes, that's the reality. We have unfortunately got 3 of our, what I'd say, more of our regular players and established players in our team missing this week, which is which is disappointing. But like I said, we have the luxury of having a deeper squad this season, a very talented squad at our disposal. So I'm confident with the people that will fulfil those roles will do it just as good a job.
How much of a headache has it been? Because certainly Will Dagger's been in good form at full-back. Jordan Thompson's been really key in his position at loose forward, and Jesse D, a strong character at centre. So quite how much of a headache has it really caused you?
Well, like you said, they are. All those 3 names that you've named there are established players within our team. So, you're not going to say it doesn't have an impact. However, we have got, like I said before, we have, I believe, the right type of player and people behind the scenes that can come in and do just as good a job. I really believe that. We've got a very good squad at our disposal this year. So, for me, it's the next man up and an opportunity now for people to go into those roles and deliver. And if they do, they're going to make it very, very hard for those guys who are on the sidelines to come back in, and that's the nature of the beast. We've made it very, very clear this season. Players will be judged on performance, and if performance levels consistently aren't at the level that we set ourselves here at this team in this club, then they won't be selected, and other players within the squad will get that opportunity. And if they take it, they keep it.
Injury-wise, I'm thinking Brendan Santi, the last time we spoke to you about him, he was going for a scan on his calf. So how is he? Yeah,
we got the results of that scan, and not great. So it's obviously a pretty decent calf tear there. So he's likely to be missing for a number of weeks now.
Is everyone else fit that you would expect to be fit?
Yeah, pretty much.
So looking at the game itself, Doncaster newly promoted from League One. Yeah. How tricky a start will this one be for you? Yeah,
it's a difficult one. They'll want to come out and make a statement in the Championship. We know that. I think the side that got them out of League One, the core of that team has been retained, so they've got some continuity there. But then you look at their recruitment. I think they've done a tremendous job with some of the players they've brought in. They've brought, for me, a large number of players that are either established top-end Championship players or were actually playing Super League last season in the likes of Lavadua and Matangi. So, I think they've got a very good balance to their squad of the team, a core of the team from last season, and some really good recruits that have added to them. So, look, they're going to be a difficult proposition. There's no doubt about it. I know they'll be coming fired up with plenty of energy and wanting to make a statement early. So, we're aware of that threat. But as I always say, we've just got to control what we can control, focus on us, and make sure that we hit the performance levels that we set and the targets that we set. If we do that, we'll give ourselves a chance of earning a result.
2 new signings coming in as well. Let's start with a familiar name at York, Tom Lynham.
Yeah.
Why have you brought him back?
Look, I just felt, we have, obviously after this pre-season and playing those few games, we just had a little bit of a sit-down as coaches and assessed our squad and said, look, what are we happy with? What do we feel we do need a little bit more of, or some areas that we can improve? And we obviously identified that probably, another outside back would be needed. So, Tom is a player that I've worked with in the past. Spent 4 years with him at Warrington. I've got a really good relationship with Tom and a lot of trust there. I think he's a talented player, obviously an experienced player that's going to bring a lot to our group. In terms of certainly our younger outside backs, to help develop them and nurture them to progress forward. But also, he'll add value on the field too. He's a strong carrier out of backfield, which is an area we felt we needed to improve. And he's also a wonderful finisher as well. So, really excited to have him on board. He was someone that we looked at in the close season when I knew he was making that transition from full-time and going into the workforce, so to speak. And the timing just wasn't quite right then. We've stayed in touch and then we just, we thought we'd have another crack and see where he's at. And it just felt that the timing was right for both parties, for Tom and for us. So we're really, really pleased to have secured his signature for the remainder of this year. And I'm sure he'll add some value to this team going forward.
Probably a little bit against you. Recruitment policy is probably a bit harsh, but I know you've looked at bringing in younger players this year, and Tom Lynham isn't. So what is it? Is it the experience that was another thing that brought him to you? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, again, if you do look at our outside backs, they're quite a young backline. You look at sort of Nick Williams is like 23 years of age, Miles Harrison, 20, 21, AJ Taus, 28 years of age, Brad Ward's 21. It's quite a young backline as it is. So I did feel we needed a little bit more experience and again, a player that can probably just do something slightly different to what we've currently got as well. So for me, Tom gives us a point of difference in that back line now to compare to what we've got currently with our players. So that was another reason for that too.
Second player you've brought in, Tom Nicholson-Watton. He is a young player on loan from Leeds.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom's an exciting talent. He's one that Rowan Smith speaks highly of, and obviously after speaking to Tom myself, you can tell, great person. His rugby IQ's good. Really asked some great questions, and so I know he's in the right headspace there. But again, the thing that attracted us to Tom was, his work ethic. He's very much an effort-based player. He's got some really good, nice ball skill as well. And again, I just think he's at that right age where, you know, he's chomping at the bit. And for where he's at on his development journey, you know, this is probably the right place for him right now. He's made some really great progress over the last 12 months, and you know, we're really excited to see what he's going to bring to this team. You know, but he certainly ticks the boxes for what we're looking for. You know, players that are good people, you know, that are effort based, got good leg speed, and obviously got some good ball skills about them.
And finally, the dual reg agreement announced this week
Yep.
with Newcastle. You've got quite a lot of fringe players at the moment that maybe
Yep.
won't be regular first teamers. So how useful will it be for you?
Yeah, really, really good. I think it was important that we sort of affiliated with a club, and we felt Newcastle was the right partner for us, and we're really thankful that Newcastle felt we were the right club for them too. So it's a two-way street. It's a partnership. You know, we're there to support them as much as we can, and vice versa to support us. So, you know, I just think in this sort of day and age, certainly as a championship club, you know, when you've got a size of a squad that we do, you know, we have to facilitate playing opportunities, especially for our younger players, and it's really, really difficult. You know, I found that quite challenging last year. You know, I was trying to get some players out on loan, and because they're not in a Super League system as such, you know, some of those League One clubs or other champ clubs might be a little reluctant to take that chance on our players. So, you know, the great thing for me is, you know, League One at the moment is a decent standard of competition for where a lot of our younger players are at, and I think it's a great opportunity for them to get regular game time, consistent game time, and further continue their development there, with a view to long term. If they do progress the way we hope they do, they'll have a longer future here back with us at York. But the reality is they have to be playing games, and currently they're not getting those opportunities. There's no point having young squad players in your squad playing 3 or 4 games a year. Like, that's not helping their development, especially off the back of having the 2-year COVID break, where a lot of young players didn't get any game time over that. They then come back into a reserve grade system that's playing once every 3 weeks. And really, how strong is that competition? How many clubs are taking that competition seriously in terms of the level of player they're putting out there? So again, I'm not sure that that's the best sort of breeding ground for development for players at this stage. So I think certainly having that dual reg partnership with the League One club, where we know that our players are more than likely going to get regular game time, is certainly the right fit for us and the right fit for our players.
I mean, the end of last season certainly did, because you just kept winning, and presumably the hope is that you can build on that 6th place finish and chase the playoffs again.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the aim this year is to finish as high as we can. You know, I totally agree with you, Alistair. I think it'd be, if we didn't make the playoffs, then it'd be a disappointing season for us. So I think that's got to be a minimum. But ultimately, it's to finish as high as we can, to try and gain as many of these IMG points in the performance category as we can to put towards our final score, which hopefully, fingers crossed, will see us as a Super League club in 2025. But if it's not, then we obviously have to readdress and look at, okay, what areas do we need to improve, or can we improve? How can we improve those areas in the next 12 months in order to become a Super League club? Because that is the aspiration, that is the ambition of the club. We've been very clear and open and transparent about that, and I think we're doing a lot of really good things, you know, both on and off the field to progress that and give us the best opportunity of becoming one in the future.
Yeah, you can tell the ambition of this club is to get to that highest level. What do you make of the grading system? Because that's made it harder for you, hasn't it? Because the established clubs now are more likely to be in there, or it's not just about what you do on the field anymore.
No, that's right. But I think we've been very clever. I think the owner, Clint Goodchild, when he came in and took the club, he's put a lot of focus on that behind the scenes stuff and getting that right. And again, it's probably tied in with the criteria of IMG. So I think he understands that, the importance of that. You've got to operate behind the scenes like a Super League club would do. So, you know, so a lot of our probably financial backing has gone more into restructuring, the administration department, your commercial department, your marketing department, your social media department, you know, all those type of things, which are going to help, you know, generate growth within the club, you know. So obviously there's been investment into the performance side too, but that's probably the final piece of the puzzle. But again, our sort of mentality is we're not throwing a shed load of money at something and sort of hoping that it's going to happen and go sort of the boom or bust mentality. It is a process. It's small steps, gradual improvement, in both areas of performance and the administrative side, to ultimately be, a sustainable and successful Super League club in the future. So, ideally, we'd love to be there in 12 months' time, Alistair, but if it's not the case, we'll have that patience and discipline to keep moving forward and get there one day. And I'm very confident that we are a Super League club in waiting. It's just a question of when that will be.
Sounds like an exciting place to be working, which is presumably why you took the job when you did, that you see this club doing what it says it wants to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I had those discussions with the owner, and I'll be honest, he convinced me with his, because it's an easy thing to sort of go out and say, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to be a Super League club. That's great to have that ambition, but how are we going to do it? What's the plan? And that's where a lot of clubs fall down. They don't have a genuine plan of how we're going to get there, or even a contingency plan of, okay, if it doesn't go to script for this part, then don't worry, we've got this in place to help, and we'll, and that's where I was really impressed with our owner, Clint Goodchild, when I sat down with him. He had a very clear objective, but he also had a clear plan of how we were going to achieve this, which, I bought into straight away. I understand and I believe in the importance of, you've got to build things. It's not something that happens overnight. I don't believe in that, just chucking a load of money at something and just, almost buying a squad to hopefully get you in there. But then that doesn't always work either. We've seen many clubs fail with that kind of mentality. So, yeah, it's definitely an appealing club to be at. I think it's, again, it has so much potential, and the opportunities are great here in this great city of ours of York. And I just think, I think we've got a lot of good things behind the scenes going on. I think we're very fortunate that we're in a city which has got a rugby league presence, and has done for 155 years. I mean, this club's been around that long, but there's some great traditional community clubs in the area. So there's rugby league people on the ground here, which is important. We're not sort of a club that's kind of trying to establish itself in a non-dominant rugby league area. So, so I think all those boxes as well were appealing to me too. I thought, yep, I can see this. I can see where the club's at. I can see it's got a rugby league presence, and it just needs to keep progressing and moving forward in the right way and becoming that sort of sustainable, successful club that it can be. So, I'm very confident we will achieve that.
And I guess York RLFC more widely has demonstrated it can also already do that, right? With Valkyrie, your sister club, becoming the best club in the women's game. Do you take inspiration from what they've done? Absolutely.
It's incredible. The growth of the women's game has been, one of the most successful things in rugby league of recent years. I remember when it first started out, and I was commentating on some of those women's games when it first came out, and to see how it's played now, a few years later, the way that's progressed in terms of the quality that we see on the field and the professionalism now, at not just our club but other clubs as well. And it's great, but it's also exciting that we're leading the way in a lot of things as well in terms of how we operate in the women's game, the fact that we pay in our players, all those other bits and pieces around it, the way we market it as well, the way we support it. I do think we are leading the way in a lot of areas of the women's game, which is great for us as a club. But equally, I think it's, both the Knights and the Valkyrie, go hand in hand for me. We're one club, two teams, but we both have the interests of each other at heart, and we both want to see success on each other's side of the fence. So great to see the Valkyrie at the moment at the top of the tree. Obviously, our aim is to get there one day as well in the Super League and be top of the tree. Might be a few years off yet, but ultimately that's what we're looking to try and do. But we've got a great relationship with the women's team and the staff there, and we're very much aligned as a club. Even though we're two separate teams as such, we are aligned as one anyway moving forward.
And you were talking before, Sharon, about the dual reg agreement with Newcastle. Can you tell me a bit about how that works? And I suppose that shows the growth of York Knights, that relationship is that way around, but also what's happened to Thunder, because that's another team that was in the Super League not that long ago. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I know. I'm very fond of Newcastle. I did spend a year playing there as a player, many moons ago. Yeah, and that's when they were in the championship at that stage. But yeah, they've had some problems obviously recently, which was disappointing to see. And I know there's some good people at Newcastle Thunder that have not only been there for a long time, but obviously some new people that have got involved recently as well that are, that work tirelessly for that club and flying the flag for rugby league in the North East. And I think the North East is another area that's got tremendous potential and tremendous growth opportunities there for rugby league, and I think they've done some wonderful things over the year. You think the youth programs that they had in place, with their scholarship and academy and reserve grade programs, the links they have with the we sort of didn't hesitate to reach out to that club and offer our support and assistance. And as it's transpired, we've managed to come up with a partnership agreement where we can sort of support them by sending some players there each week, and they can get a good number of players from our club, because we have got a deeper squad this year and more numbers than we had last year. So it's great for both parties. It strengthens them in terms of making them more competitive on the field, but it also helps us facilitate some game time, or much needed game time for our players, or certainly our younger players, to give them the best chance of developing further. So it's great, and again, it will go more from just giving players. I will go up there, support Chris now and again with training sessions, and also be watching games when it doesn't clash with our games. If they've got a Saturday fixture, and vice versa, Chris will be invited down here as well to sort of be part of our organisation at times and have a look around. So we'll share ideas and bounce things off, and we'll try and do our best to help them develop and grow again as a team and as a club, and I'm sure they can add some value to us as well.